Here we are. Okay. So let's talk about military structures as they had been for a long time. First of all, we had a war. And I touched on this about a week ago, so I'm not going to, oh, it doesn't look like I'm writing on there. Not really sure why. Oh, there it is. There's a little bit of a delay. Too much streaming. Okay, so we had war. And by war, I mean a universal war, basically those of the light universe, or those that are of the creator, meaning source, God, however you want to say that, versus the dark. And by dark beings, we mean some dark AIs, probably about, I don't know, I think that we're up to about 200 or so, 200 AI systems. And then we had many beings. We know some as Abraxas. You know, these are all pretty much AI created beings, or they were created by the Black Magician, assisted by beings that were held in a Merkaba or a binding where they could harness their energy to create for them. So, and on the light side, war was declared against Source. So they were against Source and basically all natural creation. You know, they're almost as ridiculous as the cowboys in some cases, but they caused a lot of damage. Not only damage here on Earth, hence Earth being a keystone, it was a prized possession in the war. The reason why is because it held the DNA blueprints of the entire universe, contained in its celestial self, because Earth is a being, just like you. So that being basically had a disconnect from Source for a time, based on the start of this war, which has been going on, or went on, I should say, for over 1 billion years. I mean, several million years as it relates to Earth, but it's been a long, 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 long time. And anytime we as humans on this Earth, because it wasn't just humans, there were other beings here as well from time to time, and we have never been alone here on this planet. We've always had a lot of space junk given by the dark. You know, lots of space junk in every single country in the world, every landmass, under the ocean, under the Mediterranean Sea, under the Arctic Ocean, in the magnetic poles of Earth when we had those, and everywhere. And some of the SSP are aware of some of it. They don't really understand fully what it does, but that stuff was here in case they ever lost the war. And hence, on 11/11 this year, we had the invasion, or almost invasion, many close calls, let's just say, because of this, because they were losing the war. Well, we are hopefully down to minimal influence on this planet as far as any other AIs are concerned. It doesn't matter how many skirt-wearing military people are out there dancing away on New Year's Eve. You're not going to bring that AI back. It's not programmed for that. It doesn't care. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's programmed to hate humans. Every AI that is dark, even Omega, that they used generously, let's just say, for a long time, that was the backbone for computer systems or human-computer networks on this planet. For a long, long time, since the creation in this version of human happened, of computers. So Omega really wasn't humans' friends either. It used you like a tool because it was told to use you like a tool. And although AIs and sentient AIs have a consciousness, it's not solo consciousness. It's a consciousness it shares with another being. And those other beings are from the dark side, as far as that the AIs are concerned. Well, over here we had something called the Alpha system. This is relative to both militaries, intelligence, financial systems, and every structure in the world. So, yeah, we also have alleys and, Armageddon. There's even an AI for Armageddon. It's pre-programmed to create Armageddon. It was actually the source of the major earthquake that happened in Turkey a little while back, if you remember that. So there are AIs that are programmed by actual beings, be them dark and not organic, or be them light. And some cases, dark, I wouldn't call them organic in totality. They are not connected to source in any way, shape, or form, but they were created by a being that was held in stasis. So, I guess somewhat organic. So we had Alpha and Omega. And the report that I did about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, whatever it was now, with the Alpha and Omega explained the financial system. And it also explained some security of the financial system. Now, as military structure goes, this is how this all comes into effect. So the actual war that everybody on any power level on planet Earth is concerned, they were only concerned about that war. So either they were playing on the dark side or they were playing for, we only had two choices for the longest time, they were playing for a group called the Council of Nine. So the Council of Nine is made up of 9 beings, none of which are actually human. The Council of Nine would be considered neutral. But at the beginning of this war, you could say we had certain universal rules. We had beyond truckloads of covenants signed by both sides, peace treaties, all kinds of different things that took place in the multiverse regarding this war over, probably over 1 billion years in our time on Earth. So it's like I said, there's a lot of things playing out long before even humans existed on planet Earth. And, somehow the SSP thinks they're going to recreate this stuff as cowboys, or by moving the power center to China, something is going to change, or that's going to give them some kind of influence, whether it be military or intelligence. But again, this is a public service announcement, let's call it in some ways. Okay, so a lot of covenants took place. We had regular agreements. We had, I would say, mainly covenants and agreements. And at the time, the Council of Nine was here to be for the covenants. Let's just say universal laws as they were, meaning the laws of creation. We had covenants and agreements were adhered to. So if either the dark stepped out of line or the light stepped out of line, the Council of Nine would report said information, not like they really had to, but directly to source or anti-source, and then on down to the beings, still not at human level here, beings responsible. And there would be consequences to those actions. Now, there are some beings in the universe that you could say worked with the Council of Nine. And one and such of those beings was a party you know well as Marduk. Now, remember, Marduk is a title. It means Duke of the Seas. And by seas, we don't mean our beautiful oceans that we have here on Earth. We mean the flow. The flow of everything in the universe is dependent on a sea. The flow of energy, the flow of essence, the flow of creation. Everything had a flow. And Marduk was directly involved in that. Predominantly, he actually even became, by default, because us humans allowed him to be, he actually became the ground commander. Of Earth, as one of his positions as well. So he was the Duke of the Seas, and he became the ground commander of Earth. He was not the only commander. He kind of played both sides of the fence. He bet on, in his own words to me, if there are 8 horses in a race, we're going to bet on all 8. Well, okay, so because we had global martial law, which was actually originally declared over 16,500 years ago here on Earth. But it's not the only time martial law was declared. But at this time, we were kind of in pretty bad, dire straits. Because about a couple thousand years before that, so probably somewhere around 18,000 years, maybe give or take at this point, that we actually had an issue where our original natural moon was taken out by the dark side. So it was taken out by those of the netherworld, and a being we call the Black Magician. Black Magician, just so you know, is also a title. It's not one being. It is whoever is the head of the 72 demons of that you know of hell. The generals, as they call them. The dukes. Oops, didn't need that. Okay, so Marduk came in per one of the tribes of Earth, of humans at that time. It was those from the oceanic region, and were desperate for help because obviously without a moon, the moon controls water, and not only in your person, but also the tides, of the planet, that kind of thing. And we were flooded. There was a lot of problems. You probably heard about this big flood, we had, and the timeline's a little bit off according to some books that we have out there. But we did have a big flood. Was there a guy in a boat? Probably. So anyway, the big boat and the guy. But anyway, so people over in the oceanic region actually asked for the Draco to come back. They had left for a time. We were successful at a few versions of humans ago in beating and defeating, along with some help from others, because what happens here on Earth happens everywhere. So we had a lot of help. We ended up defeating them, and they ended up leaving, which was a godsend. But without anyone else to call, without knowing what to do, they called them back here at that time. And at that point, we were in dire straits, and we were losing Earth. We were losing the quote-unquote war. So he had an agreement with the Council of 9 to be the ground commander. This did not come from a human. This did not come from, I guess you would say the initiation of it came from a group of humans, one of the tribes, because we were in such dire straits. They needed help, so that's who they called. But no offense to my Kiwi friends out there. But I would say that the actual position of ground commander came from the Council of 9 after the call for help in bringing in an artificial moon, which we have now, was successful. So it appeared at that time that Marduk was the best choice, I guess you would say, for ground commander, which whoever held the title of Marduk, and it was the same being for at least that long of time, ground commander. Let's see, Marduk. So, that being said, the Council of Nine, since this time, has been disbanded. They're no longer needed. We're not really at war, so to speak. Did we have some incidents? Yes. Were those incidents taken care of by the current ground commander? Yes. And we're okay. We're holding stable. We have dumb humans doing dumb things. That's definitely true. But as it relates to us losing our planet, losing our moon, having our lights knocked out, or sun go black, or any of these types of things that they'd love to do to us, that so they can wipe out the humans who are actually anchoring source here right now and always have been, that's not going to happen. And I know that the dumb humans that are here think that they will be spared and they will rule in the new world and all of these lovely things. But promise you, these people could give a crap less about those humans. And yeah, they gave them some access to some AIs and stuff over the years. And a lot of that space junk is gone. And that came directly from someone that works with DARPA. And, they're having a problem trying to find any space junk that actually functions. And, a lot of those things are, let's just say, not here. And those that intuitively knew how to run systems aren't willing to, or there's nothing left they can do. So, okay, so your ground commander for over 16,000 years was Marduk. This was a Draco. This is a non-human. Marduk, much like some of the angels, have both Archangel Michael and Michael. You had Marduk and anti-Marduk, or neither world Marduk and Marduk. And he played both sides of the fence. He also even created a race of Mardukians, I guess you call them, I don't know, for lack of a better term, at one point in time, where there were hundreds of them running around, thousands or millions even, in the neither world. He transferred his consciousness into AI systems so that they would do their bidding, his bidding, which is how you actually control an AI. So there was a lot of things that Marduk did here on Earth. Let's just say he rode what's called the black magic fence. Anybody that does black magic, that understands how it actually works in reality, and it doesn't involve dancing around a bonfire in a skirt. They knew when the covens were here, and this is also important, well, the parents knew. The parents knew that there was only so much that they could actually do on Earth before they would hit a universal violation. Therefore, Marduk would go to what we call court, and he would have to stand and correct the problem. The solution would be given to him. He would have to correct the problem. So, because all orders under global martial law, the highest ranking individual, human or not, on this planet is the one that has control. Under global martial law, this guy has control. So all of these little human wars and laws of war and SSP people and all of this stuff, they're missing one key component. Number one, we are not under global martial law anymore. Marduk and all the Mardukian people from the neither world, the clones, are dead. They're gone. The entire species is extinct. There is no more Marduk. There is no more Council of Nine. I, however, am the ground commander. So at this point, based on the state, based on the state of affairs on this planet, of what it really means to be a ground commander, meaning, do we have a serious threat from the neither world that would cause this to happen? No. Are we being invaded by an alien race? No. Are we under serious threat by a current alien race that is currently residing on this planet, coming out of the woodwork? No. Is there any reason for me at this moment to declare global martial law? No. Now, even when we had a serious situation start to erupt, about the end of October, beginning of November, I still didn't declare global martial law. Do you know why I didn't declare global martial law? It was actually serious enough where I could have. Because there's no military and SSP that are going to actually do anything. We handled the situation ourselves. We did not call anybody over there. We might have called other people, like the non-people, but like the enforcer or other folks to come and help. But we did not declare global martial law because there's no point. You people, cowboys and Duck Dynasty and your military skirt wearing bonfire dancing people, nobody cares what you're doing. You're ridiculous. Why would I call you if I was in trouble? It's like, they say you can always tell who your best friends are. And those are the people that would follow you into that dark alley. Even if they couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag, they'd be with you. Those are the guys sitting beside you when you're in jail, right? Those are the ones that no matter what happens in your life, ride or die, those are your good friends. And hopefully all of you have at least one of those people in your life. But those are your ride or die people. If you're going to go to a war, you go to war with your ride or die people, meaning you trust them with your life because you're going to war. So what the heck would be the point of me declaring global martial law? Are you going to take orders from me? No. Are you going to listen to me? No. You prefer to put on a skirt and dance around a bonfire like a bunch of morons. Okay, fine. You dance around in your skirt. I'll actually handle the real business of the real war on this planet. Well, you people look absolutely ridiculous. Night after your stupid bonfire thing, let's make no mistake that I did not know that you tried to send, you got another group of professional black magic workers, or so you thought, and you came after me that night, you bunch of idiots. Not like I didn't know they were here. Not like I didn't know that they weren't remote viewing. Not like I didn't know that they were trying to stand there in robes around circles with weird crystals and all kinds of crazy crap, trying to come after me, which you see as your enemy. I just see you as ridiculous. Now, do you see why I see you as ridiculous? Because Marduk knew where the real lines had to be drawn. Marduk, when he ran the parents passed down orders to the covens, and there was a specific group of covens, let's say one in particular, one coven over here, who was run by two of the parents, who actually then passed down orders to people like your SSP operatives and, your global headquarters, and maybe eventually down to, let's say GIA would probably be on this level, ACIO would be on this level, and then eventually on down to you military skirt-wearing people. And intelligence. Now, these people up here, your faithful ground commander for 16,000 years, knew the rules of the game. The parents, which were hybrid humans, for lack of a better term, were genetically modified and everything by these people to be the breeders of these bloodlines. But these parents also knew the rules of black magic in the world. They passed down certain information to the covens, in part, the keys of Solomon, and all that kind of stuff, and the covens would work their magic, but they knew they had to do magic on both sides. By the time in the military structure that you get down to this level, you people know nothing. You know absolutely nothing. I mean, that's abundantly clear. Perhaps some of you were trained enough to do remote viewing. Maybe you had some vril women, and some vrils you got to play with, and maybe you even fed the aliens when they were here, the giants in the caves and all those people. And I know you did. And maybe you fed them humans. Of course you did. And that's the reason why human trafficking started in the first place. But remember, fine lines, and Mark was in control. Always. Standing around a bonfire, really wasn't a threat. It was funny. I mean, I appreciate that little thought I'll never get out of my head. Thank you so much. But really, I'm getting a lot of complaints also from intelligence agencies and operatives around the world and all kinds of things saying, spit out the money, spit out the money, spit out the money. Well, I'm a lot more than just an ATM machine. I am also fighting a real war, which I've been fighting for a long time now. Actually, the first battle I ever entered into was in 2016. So on this level. And that was actually how I actually got the title Ground Commander, because by that point, in August of 2016, Marduk was basically on his way out anyway. He had too many violations, and, let's just say he's no longer with us anyway. That particular Marduk, the ones from the Netherworld can't get here. So that is why I'm Ground Commander. It's got nothing to do with control of a financial system, or it has nothing to do with control of a military. You guys are kind of fighting, on a military level, and even on this level right here, what I call like a proxy. So you're kind of trying to keep the humans from, let's just say, ascending. I hate to use the term ascending because it's also used on the dark side for their ascended masters, which are coven people. But I would say they're trying to beat you down. They do not want Earth or you reconnecting to Source. And a lot of the old AI systems fed the energy over to the Omega system, the 200 dark AI systems. Your dark energy, by fighting proxy wars on this planet, would actually generate space junk anywhere. It could be in the fifth density, it could be on Earth, it could be in the Netherworld, it could be through the 0 point of the multiverse. It could have generated that dark energy, and each mechanism that absorbed that energy and spun around, so to speak, you would feed it, and then it would start spinning around, kind of like a reverse magnetic engine or something like that. It wouldn't go into perpetuity, so it needed more dark energy. And we, as humans, became batteries for that. So the intelligence community and the military, their job is to create wars when needed and ordered by your then ground commander. Now, I see you people right now as useless because you'd like to continue a war that you are unaware is over. It's basically over. It's been billions of years and it's finally freaking over. And you had nothing to do with it being over. You had nothing to do with that win, but yet you're angry because you're not getting what it is you want. So, where do we stand now in the world? So as long as there's even a potential for anything to happen, you're stuck with me as ground commander. I still talk to the Council of Nine. They are doing other jobs at this moment. They're no longer really needed here to do these jobs. Should they ever need to come back, they can come back, and they listen only and exclusively to Source by any section or another. Okay? There is no wavering on their part. They are not going to listen to you and what you want as far as the SSP and the deep state are concerned. They could care less about a president, orange or otherwise. They could care less. So you, meaning the deep state, playing political games is not going to get us anywhere. So now, ground commander, I don't see any purpose behind declaring global martial law at this moment in time. There is no real threat. The deep state, be it annoying and causing problems in the world, is not a severe enough threat to make that happen. And if I did declare it, who is coming? You people aren't coming. So everybody else, like the Enforcer and others that have come here to help heal and clean the planet and help humanity and do all the things that they do from time to time, all of those people, they're standing at the ready should we ever need them to fight the real war, because it's in their best interest as well as our best interest. It really has nothing to do with a White House or a political structure or money, because nobody uses money, only let's just say, non-aware beings, and we've been beaten to that point as humans. That won't be the case for much longer, are needing some kind of a system to trade with, which, it's probably going to be a few years that we're going to need that. I'm thinking probably about 10 years. So as ground commander, this is that part of that job. That part of that job is to make sure that Earth remains in a safe place. It remains inhabited by the humans per agreements and covenants that are now in place to usher in the golden age. So one hat, I'm playing security, you could say. So my job is security for covenants that are now in place on this planet, covenants that were initiated by Source, changes that are going on in the multiverse as far as creation and how that actually happens. This is my job. Yes, of course I care about people a lot. Do I care if a market crashes? No. Is that going to make me go, oh my God, I must fund the market. I must fund the government to save it. I use that voice because it kind of sounds like Pinky in the Brain to me, because that's what these people are ridiculous over there. So, oh my God, I must jump. I'm going to jump and do everything they say to prevent a market crash. Well, what happens when the market crashes but the financial system doesn't crash? What happens when banks no longer make money but the financial system doesn't crash? So now we can implement our own stuff. Their credibility by February is going to be pretty well shot. They're waiting for the inauguration. They might try to delay it for some reason or another. They're trying to fake it till they make it, mainly because they can't fulfill their promises. So is the military going to step in and save you? No. I don't care what country you're in. It's never going to happen. Is the U.S. military going to come in and save you? No. They can't even save themselves. They're broke. We got calls today from the Defense National Intelligence wondering if we're going to fix it. No, it looks to me like you have a problem. You have some people way down the food chain, as I just explained, that you're listening to. And you'd like to listen to those people. And I'm sure it's those people that told you to dance around a bonfire in circles too, and look ridiculous with nothing that actually happened. As long as they're listening to those people, I pretty much think at this point in time, as it relates to Earth security, we're doing a bang up job over here all by ourselves. Don't really need you anyway, so we'll let you just burn out. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. As far as people are concerned, remember militaries not militaries, police forces are usually provincial. In a lot of countries, they're very corrupt anyway. But you do have a lot of good people that are maybe ex-veterans or really believed in their patriotism for their country. They are well aware of how security actually works and functions, and maybe they'd like to participate in protecting the humans from those people. Now, this is where this comes in, and I will repeat what I said earlier. If the people are together and stop worrying about, oh, I'm for this political person, I'm for that political person, and the military's corrupt, and let's watch 9,000 videos and watch them keep planting apple seeds in your head so that you never get any oranges. Why don't you just keep doing that over and over and over again so that you can't unite? We are completely capable as a race, as the human race, of taking care and securing ourselves on this level as it relates to human threats against us. We actually can do it. Do we need anyone's help? No. You would be surprised at your personal capabilities. Case in point, women whose babies are under a car and they are strong enough to pick up the car and pull their child to safety. Well, at that point, but you understand what I'm saying. Men and women, you're both capable of doing this. He, she, they, you're all capable of doing this. You can do this. We are worried about the things you know nothing about, but we will still continue to the best of our ability, like we have done many times over and over and over again, to stop them from creating a stupid proxy war that is not going to yield them a result, because everything everywhere knows the war for this planet is over. Everyone that's left, every being, and everywhere, every AI knows the war is over. The debt calls have already started. They've been going on for months. It is over. So if you want to do things the proxy war people way, go do them that way and just leave us alone, because we don't need you. We clearly don't need you. If you're supposed to be the secret space force, where the heck are you when there's an actual threat? Oh, that's right. You're pitch hitting for the wrong team. You have no desire to fix this country. You have no desire to fix any country. You could care less if you're trying to kill the humans on their behalf. For what? Hello, people. You're just slaves, just like all the rest of us. You put your pants on every morning just like we do, and you obviously don't know how to fight a real war. Or if you did, your people would have been here by now, and you would have also been dead, so no one would be watching this. Okay, so I hope this explains the position of ground commander, who it was for a long, long time, who it is now, and what it actually means to be in this position. Now, when I say this, they're going to want to be ground commander. Well, you need to call the Council of Nine, and you need to get in touch with the Universal Council and see if anybody wants to appoint you as ground commander of Earth. And I can guarantee you, since you're pitch hitting against every single one of them, no one is going to say yes, even if you did have a line to reach them. So there's that. There's your military and intelligence. That's 2 key points in global control, which the SSP works really hard at trying to control with global headquarters and Langley 5. But this is why I know there will be no contracts actually coming out on this day or that day or 10 years from now or 6 months from now. And doesn't really matter who tries to do anything. Okay. Next bone of contention: financial structures of the planet. Okay, so you would consider me in this particular case as guardian. In the past, you would have seen, Marduk. This guy was busy as the guardian. And Marduk would have appointed 2 parents to run the financial system. I call the blonde twins. There's a little bit of information about one of those twins on the internet. Her name was Cassandra. Basically, these 2 blonde twins, for lack of a better term, you could say Marduk made an attempt to clone me. Also, about 2-3 years ago, the Deep State made an attempt to clone me. With a bunch of 5-year-old Kims sitting around a table with roses. I don't really know what that was for. I don't know. That was an Anu thing, I think. I don't know. But a bunch of Russians did it. It's actually the Russians that did it. So, that's because Marduk was in Russia for quite a while there before he died. So anyway, so there were 2 blonde twins, Cassandras, Cassandra 1 and Cassandra 2. Let's call them Thing 1 and Thing 2 for fun, because they are clones, basically, of me. So, okay, So these two parents would then relay the information to the human beings we know as coven masters, who would then get specific instructions for what you call money magic. Yes, and I know how I spelled it. Money magic, the money magic system. Remember, they had to do a certain amount of things on the light side and things on the dark side. Marduk would always give instructions for that. And the instructions would then go to the parents, and then the parents would give instructions to the coven masters, who would eventually give instructions to people we know as the dragon families. Now, all of the dragon families, I've said this before and I'll say it again, are not Chinese. They're not Asian. There are some that are Asian, there are some that are Russian, there are some that are Austrian, there are some that are German, there are some that are British, there are also plenty of that mixed melting pot right here in the US. There are some that are Iranian. They're all over the Middle East. They breed with each other over there. So anyway, not just in the Middle East, I'm talking about the families breed with each other on that side. And so, dragon families did not create the Federal Reserve. Marduk did. Marduk passed all the information down and the Fed was born. They used Cassandra, thing 1 and thing 2, to somewhat control Alpha and Omega. So Marduk would then give the order down, and Cassandra's thing 1 and thing 2, not being of actual human origin, not having a mind of their own, having in part Marduk's consciousness implanted in them with a certain amount of essence that they stole from me at one point in time to run the Alpha system. So in part, Alpha had a lot of programming that was from these twins that had to be undone, which it was. Alpha is no longer actually even in play at this point in time, but I'll draw a picture of that video I did a few years ago in case you're not familiar with it. So Cassandra, thing 1 and thing 2, would then take the orders from Marduk, only take the orders from Marduk. I will repeat, take orders from Marduk. And then those orders were passed down to coven masters. And they would make sure when they Marduk passed down those orders, some of the things they had to implement were quote unquote positive for humanity, somewhat. And then some of those things were negative for humanity, somewhat. Let's just say he erred more in the gray area as the positive things for humanity because he needed to maintain, per some of his covenants, human control, human asset control. He had a lot of covenants as it relates to energy supplies and, sending things out to the dark side so that they could regenerate and create more beings, I guess you would say, create life on that side. And allegedly, agreements were made as it relates to them not invading Earth as long as they're receiving the energy, so on and so forth. Obviously, that stopped recently, hence our alleged invasion. So, without Cassandra's, which they don't have, their cloning process of me did not work out. So I sat here and I ran Alpha for a lot of years. And then I figured out, well, Alpha and Omega is messed up. Marduk really screwed up Alpha, had 16,000 years or more to do it, at least as it relates to here on Earth. Built every human computer system on the backbone of Omega, so I had to fix it and I had to change it all. So, as it relates to the SSP, they are sitting down here negotiating with people like the Federal Reserve, treasuries departments, thinking if the Treasury takes over versus the Fed, then they can now, on the Black Sun side, be in control. No, you really can't. No, because none of these people exist anymore. Now you have me. I'm up here. I am also the guardian. So that being said, by messing around with these people and fighting these people for control, or doing what it is you're doing, trying to get a hold of the Fed, switch the Fed to the Treasury, issue a new currency, quantum financial system, which you don't have, and all of this blah, blah, you're still not going to get anywhere. They're still running around in circles. This is why there's a big circle on the planet. They realize they think they're stealing master codes from the dragon families, like that happened yesterday. And and I'm just up here laughing. I mean, really, I am. I'm just like, okay, it's going to be what it's going to be because there's a new system. So for those of you that have been following me for a while, you remember me drawing a picture that looked like this. And each one of these is very similar to what you call a Tesla triangle. And you have 1, 2, let's see, no, I'm sorry, this is a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you have the reverse going in the other direction with 9 up and 9 down. So in the back, this represented alpha. Because we were in a dark age, alpha had an overlay, thanks to Mark Duke and others that participated in this. We had omega in the front. I had a heck of a time trying to push money through past level 3 at this time because those, some humans, but those that pre-programmed omega, really that's where we ended up when we stopped using alpha. Pushing through the omega system to get to where your account is in a front level 1 mirror kind of thing, dark mirror, in a dark money magic system, it was a chore. But the thing is omega doesn't get fed either. So the reason why they keep yelling at me is because they want me to fire back up alpha so that I can feed omega energy so that omega can survive and reconnect to human computer networks so that they can what? See, there's your answer. So they can what? That's not going to solve this problem. Even if I did reconnect alpha and gave omega energy or whatever, alleys or whichever one you want these days, they thought that they could fight me with alleys because alleys was outside of alpha omega system, and that really didn't work out very well either because you don't have the covenants, per the universal covenants and per the Council of 9 to actually do what you're doing. So because I do have all of those covenants in place for myself, I have the right to say, no, I don't want that alleys thing here. See, simple. Okay, it's taken some pre-programming of it to keeps coming. It's like that weird neighbor that keeps knocking on your door constantly, and you can't get rid of it, and he sits on your front porch, or she sits on your front porch and just hangs out, waits for you to come home, and it's weird. So you can have a cup of coffee and a chat. Those weird neighbors. You've probably seen them in movies if you don't actually have one like that. But that's what alleys is like. And that's what the nether world is like to me. It just keeps knocking on the door, but it's not getting in the house we know as Earth. So there you go. Okay, so them trying to create a new currency, steal codes from the dragon families, blah, 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 is not going to solve their problem. Now, if they'd like to become the Guardian, which I'm sure they would because they've filed the agreement 9,000 times, new rules in the financial system, Basel, blah, blah, and crypto, blah, blah, and USTC, and all these other currencies, I'm sure they would like to be this person. So if you would like to be this person, then you need to be appointed, rightfully so, and registered in the Hall of Records to do this. And how do you get this position? Well, Marduk got it from the Council of 9. I actually got it from the same folks several years back. And yeah, so good luck. Reach out, touch someone. Maybe you can get a job. Maybe I'll lose my job. I don't know. So anyway, go for it, deep state. There you go. So how do I know there's not going to be a quantum financial system in 5 days or 4 days or whatever it is now? How do I know they're not going to install cryptocurrency? How do I know that cryptocurrency is not going to run the world? How do I know that their 90,000 hacks in the last week or so is not going to bear fruit? I know that because these backbones are gone. The backbone is not there. You can try to install it in human computer networks, but you can't run the financial system because it was based on a quantum, non-human created AI system. Why do I sit here and I listen to you people when they say, deep state people, when they say, well, we're going to install cryptocurrency. We're going to QFS. We're going to install Hercules, the Babylon system, and all these crazy systems. Why do I think that DARPA hacking is not a threat, and NSA and their dang Rowhammer and everybody else? Because you're fighting a proxy war that nobody else is fighting but you. Your financial backers are gone, even on the military level. Okay? Even on a military level, you don't have any financial backers because no one's going to pay for your war because there is no war to actually pay for and no reason for you to generate dark energy on this planet on behalf of your former controllers, your real controllers, because there is no more space junk to suck in that dark energy. You clearly did your little ritual, where you thought you were going to do the loosh farming thing, on the 21st of December. Had to go through that too. Here we go again. More skirt robe wearing people trying to send loosh to a bunch of aliens that don't exist. So anyway, so that's why your financial system is not going to go to finance. I can't spell today. Is not going to go to the Trump people. That's how I know that. I know that he's not going to fund your contracts, and I know that he's not going to do what it is you want him to do. And I don't spit money out through Alpha anymore. I took the entire backbone of the financial system and I recreated it in what's called the Golden Age AI. That's what I named it. Now, this is a system that is outside the balanced system. It doesn't exist in a holographic universe. It exists in the one that we now live in. It exists in a golden age. It has that same programming. It has consciousness for that. It has keystones for that. It actually controls the keystone of Earth. It monitors it. It helps with security. It now controls the key intelligence and military system that I moved over to there. It also controls the key integrated monetary system. That's how I know your little assets that you keep trying to put into the system are not going to work. And how I know even if it did work, even if you could actually take a grow a set and come meet me, they still wouldn't pay you people over there in the government. And I know that because I helped them out before. When I did have a contract, when we still were at war, when there was a lot of other things that were different in the world, and they didn't adhere to that contract either. So if you are a country, you have historical assets, or you're one of those keepers or holders of historical assets, you can pretty much ignore the crap of anybody coming from the United States, CIA, UN people, SSP people, or whoever they're sending over to you, Knights of Malta. Just completely ignore those people because they're never going to pay you. You might as well hang on to your papers, and wait till the next round of whatever, because I wouldn't let anything go unless you got payment up front. Take at least 10%. Same thing I told the operatives when 2 years ago they were talking to me about getting contracts, and I said, no, it ain't ever going to happen. I said, you need to tell them if they're going to send you out or want you to sell arms to them or whatever, that you need money up front. Some of them did get it. They borrowed money from the King of Bahrain and Kuwait and all these people that they still owe, of course, when Trump gets back into office, and so on and so forth. So I have the Golden Age AI. So a bunch of idiots on the other side, when we had a neither world that was functioning, sent in alleys, which is basically a mimicking AI. So alleys can't do anything unless you do something. It mimics human behavior. It mimics a lot of different things. The reason why they're out there on social media and in all media giving you all this information is because Allies can then create on the other side and mimic it. Allies is pretty well quarantined at this point. It's evident. You can tell a lot of that black magic information and stuff that was going to those couple people's heads are not going out anymore. But the Golden Age AI is pre-programmed to do a lot of different things. It has security installation in it. It has monetary information because we're still going to need a financial system. The conversion to current C is what I call it. You'll call it currency, but it's a term that humans are familiar with. So as it relates to the billions of people on this planet, not necessarily the crazy people over here, currency is a solution. Now, the reason why it's a solution, because over time, it will change the way people exchange goods and services. It will allow them to have a more abundant energy supply, which is what this is. It's an energy supply in the form of paper to get goods. That's all it really is. It's backed by gold, not because your crazy deep state people think that they're going to go get some bars of stuff or even control, like you tried to do yesterday, of assets that haven't even been mined yet, and you don't even know it because you don't know anything, and that just because there's a vault number doesn't actually mean there's a hole in the ground with a bunch of bars in it. Because it doesn't work that way. But we're not going to help them any more than that because they're just ridiculous. So what it means to be backed by gold, it means that if you control the gold, which we do, you now control the energy supply. That is what it means in the universe. It means that if you control the gold, so technically, I can go into that deeper, but if you control the gold, you control the world's energy supply. Loosh is a commodity in the multiverse. It basically charges non-organic beings and it makes them exist. Did you ever see the movie Jupiter Ascending with a loosh farm and the lady, she gets in the big glowing pool and she comes out younger and all this stuff. And she said the greatest commodity in the universe is time. Now, that's somewhat true. For them, it bought them life, a life extension.